Hi, and welcome back to this second video in this lesson series on how to draw the human figure. By the way, if you haven't watched the first video yet, I recommend you go do that right now and then come back to this one. To watch it, just click on the button on the screen. Okay, so just as a quick recap, in the last video, we talked about the big reason why so many artists struggle with learning figure drawing. I told you about the story of my co-instructor Michael and how he really hurt his long-term success by skipping over the fundamental skills. And I also hinted at what I believe to be a big secret to your figure drawing success, which is a structured, step-by-step approach to learning that's designed to teach you a number of critical skills, each one building on the last. So in this video, we're going to dive deeper into this structured approach, and I'm going to reveal the first ingredient in our figure drawing success formula. And that is, drum roll please, proportion. Not surprisingly, proportion is one of the most important skills to develop. Until you really understand how to draw human proportion, your drawings will never look right. It's the core fundamental that everything else we'll learn will be based on. But for some reason, this is one of the biggest sticking points for most beginners. And today, we're going to fix that. I'm going to show you a simple drawing exercise that will help you make sense of human proportion and allow you to really lock that knowledge into your long-term memory and make it a part of you. So let's get over to the drawing table and get to it.
Okay, so the whole point of this exercise is to construct the human figure completely from scratch. And by doing it that way, you'll familiarize yourself with all the rules and measurements that governs how a human stick figure is put together. So to start with, just clear your mind of any, conceptions of the human figure and just pretend like you don't know how to draw it, and we'll begin from scratch and just construct it from there. So we're going to begin with a blank piece of paper, and then step number one is to draw a straight line down the paper. It can be as long as you want, but this line will basically represent the height of your figure. So if you want your figure to be taller, make it longer. I'm going to use a ruler, but you can freehand this as well if you would like. I'm going to make it extra dark so you can see it on camera, but you don't have to make it this dark. The next step is to find the midpoint of this line. So just divide it perfectly in half. Again, you can just eyeball this. So it will be this point here, and just put a small X right there. And this will mark the crotch of the figure. Next, take the top part of this line and divide that into two segments again, and just put a dot right there. This will represent the bottom of the pectoral or the chest, and then take the top part of that, divide it into two, and this point will mark the bottom of the chin. For this, divide that into again, and this will mark the navel or belly button. Okay, and then lastly, take the bottom area of this line and divide it into two, and this point will mark the general area of the knee. The knee will be actually slightly above this point, but if you want, you can just make this where the knee is as well. Okay, so we're done marking out the major landmarks of the figure. And at this point, you might notice that if you were to continue dividing this point in half and this point in half, the entire line will be divided into 8 equal segments. And since the top to the chin is 1 head, you could say that this figure is 8 heads tall. And in drawing human figures, the head will be a very common unit of measurements. So everything that we draw, proportional wise, will be measured in terms of the head. And the 8 head figures, now there are many ways of drawing the human figure. The 8 head figure is considered the idealistic proportion. So when you see figures in comic books or fashion magazines, they usually conform to the 8 head proportion. When you're drawing a more average looking normal person, the proportion will be more like 7.5 figure. But since the 8 head is usually the most popular, we're going to be working with that. So next we're going to draw in the head. So just take the top of the line and the point where the chin is and draw in an oval. Okay, so now that we have the head, the next step is to locate the nipples. To do that, just go down to the point that marks the pectoral, the end of the pectoral, and put a dot on each side of this location. You want the two dots to be one head length apart, so just sort of eyeball the height of the head and transpose that there. So we'll just put two dots right here. Okay, so these will be our two nipples. Okay, so now we're going to draw in the chest cavity. To do that, take the bottom of the chin and the pectoral and find the midpoint between those two. Put a dot there and draw in a small V. This will represent the clavicle or the collarbone. And then between the chin and the clavicle, find the midpoint once again, and this point will be the beginning of the chest cavity. So the chest cavity will be basically a bigger oval that begin from this point to the navel. So we're just going to draw an oval that goes outside past the nipple so that it covers it, and it meets at the navel. Do the same for the other side. Okay, so now to close up the chest cavity, we're going to find the points on the oval that is vertically aligned with the nipple. So if you just draw a slight dotted line down until it intersects the oval, and do the same for this other side. This is the point where the chest cavity will curve up to the bottom of the pectoral. So we're just gonna take that and draw a slight curve upward and connect it with the pectoral. And do the same on this side. And here we have the chest cavity. At this point you can erase the bottom line right here. They're just used for guiding purposes. And in fact, once you're comfortable with drawing this figure, you don't have to draw the entire oval. You can just go down and then at the point where it aligns with the nipple, begin curving upward. Okay, so we have the chest cavity. Now let's draw in the crotch. To do that, we're going to first locate the love handle, and to do that, begin at the navel, go slightly below the navel, and then put a dot on each side, like that. Make sure that it aligns with the nipple. And these two dots will represent the love handle. So I'm going to connect these with a using a downward angle line and a slight U shape, and connect it with the crotch. And the crotch is sort of a bowl shape. So I'm going to complete that by drawing in these lines here. And drawing in here. Okay. So as you can see, we created a sort of bowl shape. Let me darken it so you can see it better. So it's sort of a bowl that's that has a section cut out right here. Okay. So that's the crotch. Next, we're going to draw in the legs, and to do that, we're going to first locate the leg joints. So once again, take the point of the navel and the point of the crotch and divide it into 3 equal segments. So I'm going to put 2 equally placed lines right here, and you want to go with the bottom point, okay, and slightly below it put 2 dots on each side. Okay. And again, make sure that it's vertically aligned with the nipple and the love handle. So it's basically draw 2 dots, take the one on the bottom, go slightly below it, and then put 2 dots on each side. And these will be the leg joints. And now to draw the leg, we're going to start from this point and sort of draw a slightly downward angle line like this. And then from there, angle it down towards the knee. And then we'll just draw in a small dot to represent the knee. Do the same on this side, slightly downward, down and outline, and then another line like this. Put a dot to represent the knee. And then for the rest of the leg, we'll just extend that from the knee all the way down to the bottom of the figure. And I'm going to make this line slightly curved. And for the feet, we're just going to draw a simple triangle shape to represent the feet. Next, we're going to draw in the arms. To locate the shoulder joints, we're going to start from the navel and draw a light dotted line from the navel and connect it to the nipple, like this. And then do the same for the other nipple. So the 2 lines should form a V shape from the navel to the 2 nipples. Okay, and then we'll go to the clavicle and then extend it from here out towards this this V-shaped line. And you want to slant the line slightly upward, like that. Okay, and then the point where this clavicle intersect with this line will be the shoulder joints. So we'll just put a dot right there to represent that, and do the same for this side. Put a dot right there, and now we'll just draw in the arm. We'll go from the shoulder joints all the way down to the crotch. Okay, so this will be the wrist. And to draw in the hand, we'll just put in a simple mitten shape, like that. Alright, so let me just darken the figure and so you can see it better.
Alright, so there you have it. We just created our own human body from scratch, completely with its own rules and measurements. Congratulations, if you drew along with me, you now know more about the human proportion than 90% of beginner artists. So, now it's time to really imprint what you just learned into your long-term memory. Research has shown that when we're first exposed to new information, whether it be lectures, articles, or tutorials, the vast majority of that knowledge slips out of our short-term memory within the first 30 minutes. But there is an easy way to remedy this problem by employing a technique called spaced repetition. It's basically the idea that by reviewing a piece of information over a period of time, will cement it into your mind and drastically increase retention. So, here's your homework for today. Immediately after watching this video, take out a clean piece of paper and repeat the exercise we just did. Remember as much as you can. Even if you can't immediately recall something, try it for a while. Keep at it. By putting in effort to remember rather than just passively referring back to the lesson, you'll actually make the information stick much deeper. And when you really can't remember, go ahead and refer back to this lesson. Then repeat this 30 minutes later, then one more time an hour later, and then finally once more the next day. By doing this, you'll solidify everything you just learned and lock it into your long-term memory. Oh, and by the way, you can apply this concept to anything else you learn for maximum effectiveness. Now, of course, there's a lot more to learn about human proportion, but this exercise should give you a nice head start. In tomorrow's lesson, we'll learn about how to apply perspective to our figure to make it look more realistic and interesting. That's going to be a really fun lesson, so make sure to check your inbox for that email from me tomorrow. If you're watching this and you aren't subscribed to my free newsletter yet, be sure to do that now so you don't miss out on future lessons. It's completely free and only takes 30 seconds. Just go to mydrawingtutorials.com/figure. Or, if you don't feel like typing, just click on the link right below this video, and then enter your email into the new page. And finally, if you like this video, please help me out by hitting that like button and leaving a comment below. Also, please share this lesson with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, by using the social sharing buttons on this page. So, once again, this is Ethan from mydrawingtutorials.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.